Do complex legal issues hold you back? Let's get energized and bring clarity to your top legal questions. This is Law Talk with the Flock by Goosmann Law Firm.
Hello, I'm your host, Jeana Goosmann, a CEO, lawyer, author, and woman business owner, here to help navigate you through the law, your business, and life as a leader. For today's episode, I have with me attorney Aaron Adams. Aaron is a business, banking, and financial technology attorney at Goosmann Law Firm, and today we're going to talk about the evolving world of cryptocurrency. Welcome to the podcast, Aaron.
Thank you.
And Aaron, maybe you could share with our listeners a little bit about yourself before we jump into the topic.
Sure. By way of background, I spent most of my career in-house at various organizations, especially in the fintech area, where payments and things such as a Bitcoin and cyber currency that we're going to talk about today were top of mind all the time.
Outstanding. And for our listeners to know, Aaron and I went to law school together, and that's how we originally met, and now we're privileged to get to work together at the firm.
It's been a wild ride, Jeana.
Never a boring day at the Goosmann Law Firm, is there, Aaron?
That's right.
So, Aaron, as we talk about this today, we're just going to kind of keep it really high level for our listeners, and I know down the line we're going to have some more in-depth discussions about cryptocurrency because it's something that's definitely affecting our practice of law and our clients, and a topic that we deal with here at the Goosmann Law Firm on the regular. So with that, Aaron, can you just explain to everyone what is cryptocurrency?
Sure, and I'll try to make it as simplistic as possible using an illustration that maybe some of our business owners might be familiar with. So it's a form of online payment at the end of the day that can be used to purchase goods and services. The concept, and probably the best analogy, is going to be if you go to a casino and you want to play a table game, they're not going to let you just sit down with a pile of cash. You're going to have to go to the cage and get a bunch of chips, which are just with no intrinsic value. The only value those chips have, those pieces of clay, are what the casino says. Hey, this chip is worth $5. This chip is worth $10. The same concept here is with the cryptocurrency, where we are providing a piece of data or an item that says, hey, I agree that seller will sell you this piece of Bitcoin for whatever the two of us will agree to for a purchase price. Because it has no intrinsic value, there is no guaranteed cash flows, and so the only way then to make money off of it is to have a buyer down the road that thinks it's worth more than what you paid for it. So again, at the highest of levels, that's the best analogy I can give for what Bitcoin is.
So Aaron, what's the appeal to cryptocurrency? Why has this become such a big area?
Yep, so there's a lot of nervousness, concern from people in the industry and from companies that say, hey, why do I have to go to a bank? Why do I have to use Visa, MasterCard, all of those to manage my money flow and then have to pay them a certain percentage to handle that transaction? The nicety of cryptocurrency is kind of taking out all of that because these transactions are what they call transparent because of blockchain, which we can get into at some other point as well, what that really means. But it's basically taken out the middleman, and I'm now 100% confident that I won't ever have my data and information hacked, and therefore I'll be able to know who has the money at all times. Now the downside is, because there's nobody kind of helping prop and back that up, is if you were to lose your computer, as an example, and don't have the data credentials to go find that, well, you're SOL and have no way of recovering that data and that relates to those Bitcoin numbers.
So there's a lot going on there, and I'm going to try and kind of back out what some of those different phrases are for people that might not be as familiar with cryptocurrency. And I heard you mention Bitcoin, and how does Bitcoin fit into the cryptocurrency world?
Yep, so it's just one of several that are currently the trendy thing to work with right now. There's Bitcoin, There's Ripple, there's Ethereum. Again, they're all just variations on a theme of what you might be able to use to buy and sell goods online. So again, think of it as a different form of currency from pulling out your piece of plastic in your wallet that has a Visa bug on it or a MasterCard or paying through PayPal. Again, it's just a different conversation of what you want to use to pay for those transactions. So I know one of the big players right now, and you just notified the market over the weekend that they're going to stop, is Tesla. Has stopped taking those as a form of payment, but he said, hey, instead of cash, pay me in Bitcoin for that Tesla that you want to take home today.
Right. And then I think there were some tweets about whether or not that was environmentally friendly, because people are also mining for Bitcoin. What is this mining for Bitcoin, Aaron?
Yep. So again, at its very core, what you're doing is there's a bunch of numbers out in the universe, and it takes all this computing power to go find the right sequence to say, hey, this piece of Bitcoin that has this binary sequence of 15 numbers is worth an intrinsic value of whatever. So that you've got all these computers all over the world going out there and being speculative miners looking for this data to say then, hey, I have this opportunity to mine and find this Bitcoin.
So part of where the environmental impact comes in is the energy costs to run those computers and do that mining.
That's exactly right. So one of your biggest places where you're seeing a lot of this right now is in China, where they are just ganging together these hundreds, if not thousands, of computers, and the just greenhouse effect of having all those computers running all the time to find this is just killing the green space.
And I know we have some clients that have some mining businesses, and they only run 6 months out of the year because of the heating and cooling costs to keep the equipment at a certain temperature. I think it's just super interesting to see how the energy sector has interplayed with the cryptocurrency world.
That's exactly right. I mean, at the end of the day, it's they're taking electricity instead of diesel gas to power up those excavators and those dump trucks. They're looking for the gold in the ground. They're using, again, electricity to find that gold online, trying to find these numbers. But the concept is basically the same.
And there are all kinds of different cryptocurrencies. And I know you mentioned a number of them, Aaron, and there's everything Litecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, which was the one that I think has been around a long time. And then there's even Dogecoin. And I think Doge is interesting because didn't it kind of start as a joke, but now it's like really valuable.
It is. And that's where, at this time, everything is just very speculative. I think the market is trying to understand and figure out what makes the most sense. Because of the costs of the transactions and things. I think certainly the concept in amongst itself is, intriguing, especially to those that have been playing in the payment space and how you buy and sell stuff. But whether it's that one or Ethereum or Bitcoin, I don't think the market has really settled on what makes the most economic sense yet.
And Bitcoin itself, I know today is trading at over $43,000. So it's definitely increased in value since just a few years ago.
It has. And, it's funny, though, going back to the comment earlier from Elon and Tesla, by his saying that they're going to stop taking it, I think it made it drop, 15% overnight. And then he kind of dialed that back and says, well, maybe we're going to hang on to that stuff and maybe not fully get rid of all of our holdings, which then brought it up 12% overnight again. Just very, very volatile right now in the market.
And so when people are trading on Bitcoin, I think it's also important to know on the legal standpoint, you don't have the same SEC regulations today, do you, Aaron? It's a different kind of currency to be trading, and it's not as regulated today.
Absolutely right. It's regulated. I would say it's probably not at all yet. I'm sure the SEC and others are going to catch up, but they're just still trying to figure out and get their arms, just like a lot of us, of what exactly it is, and then how are we going to help make sure that the consumer is protected. They just are still trying to figure out what it is before they can figure out how to protect people.
I know that some of the interesting legal issues that we've had to tackle are when people do have gains, how is that taxed? And I know that came up in a pretty big way this year, as well as are these funds or people pooling their money together to do different trades? How is that regulated? People wanting to form their own currency, how do they go about doing that? And lots of different ways that the law is interplaying with this new technology, and some tricky things to figure out because the law hasn't caught up yet, has it, Aaron?
No, it hasn't, and you're right. It's one of those things too that as we become a better understanding of the whole blockchain and all these things and how they work, I think you'll find an answer. But whether it's going to happen overnight, no. You're probably looking, months, if not a couple years out before there's a better understanding of how best to ensure that we protect the consumer and the use of it.
And you and I are both licensed in practice law in the state of South Dakota. I know that this next year, our firm is going to be working on trying to help write some of the new law for the state of South Dakota to get passed in the next legislative session so that South Dakota can have some good guidance and be a leader in the country on these different issues, much like it is a trust leader.
No, absolutely right, and that's fortuitous for us to be able to participate in the how the sausage gets made as it relates to how we're going to oversee this stuff at the state level. That's a very awesome opportunity for us, and we're looking forward to helping carve out and make sure that we develop these laws in a way that makes sense for everybody.
And I know that we're also, working to keep up with this and stay ahead of it so that we can advise those clients both in the traditional financial sector as well for how is this going to affect them and their business. And we've really worked hard to develop a team in order to stay in front of these different issues. And one of the things that we talk about is when we encounter different folks and they want to talk to us about cryptocurrency, I see a lot that there's FOMO, or the fear of missing out. And have you experienced that, Aaron, where people are really curious about what's going on and they see a lot and they hear a lot about cryptocurrency, but they don't quite know how to get involved and take advantage of what the changes are?
There is. I think there's from the clients I've talked to, there's obviously that concern, but it's more of a curiosity yet. It's still in its very infantile stages, and so I don't think they're fully worried that they're missing the ship yet. But as this thing continues to garner some speed and some steam, I think that there will be more of that happening in the next year or so of, hey, okay, this really is taking on some legs. I probably need to think more about it. Again, I think of it very similar to how credit cards came into being the way back in the day. People didn't really want to or were worried about missing out on that originally. But then as more and more people wanted to buy and sell their goods using plastics, they're like, okay, now I need to figure it out. We'll get there. We're just not quite there yet.
Aaron, if a business leader wanted to get started and learn more about cryptocurrency and see how they could maybe buy some cryptocurrency, how would they get started?
Sure. And again, this is one of those things where the internet is your best friend at times. Just be cognizant and reserved on not everything you read is 100% accurate, but that's where they're making their money is by having the opportunity for people to go out there and just research it on their own of, hey, what is cryptocurrency? Just hitting the Google key is kind of the best way to just get their arms around it, because we're all learning about it at the same kind of speed right now.
And there are a number of apps available for people that want to actually buy some and trade cryptocurrency too.
There are. Unfortunately, I don't have any at my fingertips right now, but yes, there are several out there that are available for the individual investor to kind of take a look at and figure out how to buy and sell it if they so choose. Absolutely.
I know there's everything from Coinbase to Robinhood, which made a big mark in the news earlier this year with the trading of GameStop and the movie theater stock. So lots of different opportunities out there to figure out which one's the right for you and to do your own research and also talk with your investment advisor. And with that, Aaron, what are your thoughts on people consulting with financial planners and financial advisors as they enter into this space?
I would say I would highly recommend it. It's a team effort, especially talking to Goosmann from a legal standpoint on how best to protect yourself, but certainly talking to your CPA, your accountant, and your investment team to make sure that Again, recognizing that this is highly speculative and volatile, what makes the most sense as far as adding it to your portfolio? Absolutely, I would recommend reaching out to those parts of your team.
You bet, because we certainly don't want people to overextend themselves in this space and take on more than they can handle if something were to happen and change, because it does change rapidly. And at the same time, there's a lot of money to be made when there's a changing market. So we encourage everybody to learn more first and foremost. And in line with that, Aaron and I will continue these discussions and get more in depth with regard to cryptocurrency and the law. I really appreciate you coming on today, Aaron, and look forward to those future discussions.
Sounds good. I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks, Jeana.
Thanks, everyone. Go make it worth it.
Thanks for joining us for Law Talk with the Flock by Goosmann Law Firm. We hope you feel energized and ready to soar past your goals. Become a Flock fan and subscribe to our podcast for weekly episodes. Learn more at goosmannlaw.com.